Welcome everyone to the Zelda Challenge. Presenting our topic for debate is our very own Kevin O'Rourke. Kevin, what's our topic today?
Our topic today is 2D enemies that should make a return in a 3D game.
For me, I would like to see Goriya's make a return.
For me, I'd like to see Pols Voice make a return. Pols Voice are one of the few enemies in the Zelda series that are from The Legend of Zelda that have not made their way into a 3D Zelda title. My favorite part about the Pols Voice is they're so unassuming. They're these cute little plush toy rabbit creatures. But when you look at the artwork, these guys are the nastiest looking things I've ever seen in Zelda. They're like strange dust bunny creatures. They don't have any mouths. They got like angry eyebrows in every single artwork. I'd really love to see what they do if they take that artwork from the older games and kind of like make that into a 3D model. I think it could be really nasty, really ugly. I'd just love to just wail on those guys in like Breath of the Wild, let's say. So another reason I'd love to see Pols Voice make their way into a 3D Zelda title is just the uniqueness of the many different ways that you could dispatch them in the Zelda series. For the original Legend of Zelda, in the Famicom version, you could yell into the microphone of the second controller to just like kill them. They're a little bit harder in the North American English versions, where you have to either slash them a million times with your sword or just shoot a bow. Also, in Link's Awakening, you can play the Ballad of the Windfish and wipe the Pols Voice clear off Koholint Island. And you can also blow into the microphone in Phantom Hourglass and then just wail on them with your sword. In a 3D Zelda title, if you're able to play some song to distract them or to make them cover up their ears, create some more vulnerabilities, I'd love to see more music in the Zelda series, especially in a 3D game. I think Pols Voice would fit in perfectly there. So that's a few reasons why I'd like to see Pols Voice in a 3D Zelda game. What about you, Goo?
I liked how you talked about how they were these traditional, they're from the first Zelda game, and they really show off the quirks of the Zelda series. On that same note, Goriyas are as classic of a Zelda enemy as they come. Just like Pols Voice, they were in the original Legend of Zelda, and you see them throughout all of the classic era of Legend of Zelda. Once we transitioned into 3D, they kind of straight up vanished. It's kind of a bummer because they were classic, but not only that, they were the originators of the boomerang. Before Link even gets to use his boomerang in the game, he has to take some Goriyas out and gets a boomerang from them, which I think is pretty cool to actually get the item you're using from the enemy who uses it. Not only that, but they're kind of one of the first characters in a Zelda game. The original Legend of Zelda didn't really have a lot of characters or NPCs with speaking roles, but of course in one of the dungeons there's a good old Grumble who is blocking your way. Instead of fighting him, you have to feed him because he's hungry. Like with the Pols Voice, it's one of the first quirky fun things in The Legend of Zelda. In Link's Awakening, there's one Goriya, and he's a character too. He's this lonely, only Goriya in the whole game. He will trade you, of course, a boomerang. It was great when we got Lynel's in Breath of the Wild. It was like a dream come true. But I really think Goriya's missed, they got skipped over a little bit. In fact, they had enemies, the Lizalfos, who had boomerangs. Their arms became boomerangs. That would be a perfect place for them. And I think going forward, that's something that they should do. So that's why I think Goriyas should make a comeback in full 3D.
Yeah, Goo, you made some really good points. I just have a few quick rebuttals, or one rebuttal, I guess you could say. The identity of the Goriya is kind of changed throughout Zelda. In A Link to the Past, they sort of changed to be a completely different enemy. They're almost like weeping angels. I'm just wondering how well they would translate into a 3D Zelda title. Like, a game like Ocarina of Time may not use the boomerang in the most exciting gameplay fashion, and I'm sure it could be done. I just haven't seen the boomerang. Maybe it's more of an argument for the boomerang, but ergo, the Goriya as an enemy throwing that boomerang at you in a 3D Zelda title. Even in Breath of the Wild, that's a little, like, underwhelming for them.
I definitely agree, like, the boomerang has been kind of iffy in 3D Zelda games. They'd have to think of something fun for, like, what an enemy that has a boomerang could do. Like, it would be cool to see something new done with the boomerang. And I think if you want to try to introduce something new with the boomerang and make it useful again, who better to introduce it with than its original user? And as far as the identity thing, I can see that too. I don't really like how they are in... I don't really dislike it, but I don't really love them in A Link to the Past or A Link Between Worlds. But I think the fact that they're kind of been used a little bit differently means that there's sort of a bit of a blank slate when you're trying to bring it into 3D, you know? You can even take, like, some of the best stuff from each of their appearances and kind of incorporate something new, which is something Breath of the Wild did with a lot of aspects of the series. Only one of us can be correct, obviously. So what we need you guys to do is to click on the icon in the upper corner of your screen. I hope I pointed the right way. It's been a minute. If you want to speak for the poll's voice, vote for Kevin. If you think we need to see some Goriyas come back, vote for me. And of course, as always, give us a like, give us a subscribe, won't you please? Check out some of our other videos. There's other Zelda Challenge for you to watch. And Kevin, thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Goo. Always a pleasure.